The best investment you can make as a leader is in yourself and your team. Join Maxwell Leadership for Day to Grow, a full-day conference in Orlando, Florida, featuring some of today's most sought-after experts and thought leaders.
I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a motivational teacher. You see, a motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you don't know why. A motivational teacher makes you feel good, but the next day you know why, because they give you resources and tools and practice.
If you're passionate about personal growth, development, your team, and growing them, you do not want to miss Day to Grow.
Malcolm Gladwell has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Since becoming a staff writer for The New Yorker in 1996, he has written 7 New York Times bestsellers, and in 2011, he was appointed to Canada's second highest order of honor. 4-time Olympian Shante Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story of triumphing over adversity on platforms like ESPN and the Oprah Winfrey Network. Chris Robinson is an international speaker and executive coach who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide.
The masses lead lives of quiet desperation, but they go to the grave with their song inside. It is my vision that not a single person that can hear my voice goes to the grave with that song inside.
John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter. His clients include Dell, Publix, Southwest Airlines, and several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose.
So it started out, people would ask weird questions. Michael Jr., what should I do here? What should I do there? And I realized we're asking the wrong question, because they were asking what, but the question they really should be asking is why, because when you understand your why, you have more options for what, but your why never changes.
International speaker Valerie Burton is the founder of the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute, as well as a best-selling author of 13 books coaching women and ambitious individuals toward their best lives.
If we want to be resilient, we need to be as supportive of ourselves as we are of the people we care about. You see, we are often far more kind to our friends and to our family members than we are to ourselves.
Serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson serves as CEO and managing partner of Grant Cardone's business consulting firm Cardone Ventures. He has spent the last 30 years in the business space, starting, scaling, and selling businesses, and now helps organizations of all sizes reach their goals.
Come and see us on Day to Grow. I will promise you this. You come and bring your team, and at the end of the day, you'll come up and shake my hand and say, one of the best days I've ever invested in for myself and for my team. I'll see you there.
Welcome to Grow Day. Welcome. We're delighted. This is a day where we learn, where we grow, where we meet new friends, that develop relationships that help us to really add value to each other. And so I'm glad in a moment I'm going to speak to you on a subject called How to Get Out of the People Pile. Yeah. This is so fun. Yesterday, one of our coaches, Amanda, she handed me this shirt and said, "Dear John, I just want to thank you for inspiring and teaching this introverted, fearful physician to be courageous and get out of the people pile." And she had her husband made this shirt for me, and she just talked to me about how her life was changed ever since I've just been mentoring some of the people, some of our coaches on how to get out of the people pile. And we're going to talk about that today, because I want every one of you to, at the end of my little talk, I want every one of you to make a difference and distinguish yourself and get out of the people pile. Because the people pile, the problem with the people pile is there's a bunch of people in the pile. And it's hard to set yourself apart. It's hard to distinguish yourself. It's hard if you're not seen to make a difference. And so we're going to talk about, how to get out of the people pile. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. And I'm going to give you some just great principles that are going to just help you. So look at your neighbor and say, get ready to get out of the people pile. Okay? Would you tell them that? Get out of the people. Absolutely. In fact, look at him and say, why do you think I brought you here? I want to get you out of that people pile. That's what I want to do. And again, I just want to say this because we value everyone. So we never devalue people. But what I want you to do is I want you to be different. I want you to be exceptional. I want you to rise above average. In the people pile, there's just an awful lot of average. And I want to help you. And what's really incredible is I can. And what's even more incredible is that when I teach you how to get out of the people pile, you're going to be able to do this. And you're going to begin to see that it just makes a huge difference in your life. So I want you to write down 3 very, very short, very simple words. And it's out of these 3 words that we're going to teach you how to get out of the people pile. And by the way, I just want to say this while you're getting ready to take notes. I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad you're here. I've looked forward to today. I've looked forward to this opportunity. I love Grow Dad. I love what we do, and I love why we do it. And we want every one of you, by the end of this day, we want every one of you to leave and just say, I'm a better person. I'm more equipped. I'm more prepared. I'm going to make a difference. But the 3 words I want you to write down, the first one is ask. The second word is be. And the third word is do. Ask, be, and do. I'm trying to make this lesson as simple as I possibly can. Ask, be, and do. There are 3 things I want you to ask. There are 3 things I want you to be, and there are about a half a dozen things I want you to do. And if you'll ask, be, and do what I share with you, you're going to get out of the people pile, and all of a sudden you're going to be able to set yourself apart from others. And it's going to begin to be amazing what happens to you as a person. It's going to be amazing what happens to you in your business, in your career, in your family. It's just going to be huge. So let me give you the 3 things that you need to ask yourself to get out of the people pile. The first question you need to ask yourself is, what are my strengths? What is it in my life that I just really do well? I'm good at this. I'm really good at this. That's the first question you ask about your people pile. Because here's what I've learned. Very few people quit what they're good at. You don't quit what you're good at. You've never heard a person say, my gosh, I just quit my job because I was amazing. Oh, Lord, I was at the top of the class. I was making a lot of money. Lives are being changed. Oh, my gosh, I had to get out. I just had to get away from that. I just had to get away from that. No, you don't quit what you're good at. You quit what you're bad at. And what you're bad at, you ought to quit because you're not any good at it. And you don't get out of the people pile if you're doing what you're bad at, because that's why they have a people pile. But people don't quit what they're good at. So you got to ask yourself, what am I good at? Now I'm being dead serious. You got to figure it out, because it's what you're good at that's going to help you get out of the people pile. You don't get out of the people pile on your weaknesses. You get out of the people pile on your strengths. For example, I'm good at communicating. I'm a terrific communicator. I'm good at leading. Love leadership. I'm really good at creating. I love to create. That's why I write so much. And I'm off the charts with mindset. I have a mindset that just allows me to be highly, highly attractive to people and successful. Now, that's what I'm good at. I'm good at my mindset. I got an incredible mindset. I'm creative. I lead really well. Okay, these are my strengths. You see, I'm no genius. You got to understand this. I'm just kind of, the best way I can say it is I'm smart in spots. I really am. I mean, if we were playing a trivia question today and every one of you beat me in trivia, I don't know very much about trivia because I don't let my mind read about all that stuff because I focus on what I'm really good at. I don't focus on other stuff. So if I'm only good in spots, okay? But so what I do, now don't miss it, I'm only good in spots, so I stay around those spots. That's what you want to do. You don't have to be good at a lot of things. In fact, my father, who is an incredibly successful man, very young, and I'm the middle of the three children, he looked at us and he very quickly began to find out what our strengths were. And as we grew up, he began to build into those strengths, and he would just say, you got to understand, you don't have to do a lot of things, but you got to do the things you're good at. So if you want to get out of the people pile, you got to find out what your strengths are. And the way to do that is if you're not really sure, ask your friends to come around and say, tell me, what are my strengths? But you've got to discover your strengths. Don't work on your weaknesses. Somebody said, well, why shouldn't I work on my weaknesses? It's because you're weak in your weaknesses. My name's John, I'm your friend. You're not any good at it. So, well, I want to improve my weaknesses. If you improved your weaknesses, you would only become average, and average is average, and average is still in the people pile. You can only take your giftedness and increase it about 2 numbers. So you got to start with something you're already a 6 in and a 7. By the way, let me just say the good news is every one of you have strengths. Every one of you have strengths to get you out of the people pile. So look at your neighbor and say, you have strengths to get out. Go ahead and tell them you have strengths to get out. That's good. That's good. Look right back at him and say, and I'm waiting for you to get out. I'm waiting. I'm just, dear God, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Okay, the second question you got to ask yourself is, what am I passionate about? What am I passionate about? Because passion is what gives you the energy. Passion is what causes you to connect with people. I mean, my passion is huge. I have a passion to add value to people. I have passion to make a difference. I have passion to start a coaching company so that I can equip and train coaches to be successful and get out of the people pile. That's what my coaches are doing. They're getting out of the people pile. They're setting themselves apart. They're distinguishing themselves. In fact, I'm so proud of my coaches. I know that many of you are here. If you're a John Maxwell coach, would you just stand for a moment and make me proud one more? Come on, coaches, stand up. Look at these people. Look at it. Come on. Look at it. Now, let me tell you something about these people standing. You can be seated. They got out of the people pile. One day in their life, they thought, if I'm going to really be successful, I better get in an organization that knows success. And I better get with people that can equip me and train me and develop me and help me develop a career as an entrepreneur. You got out of the people pile. You made a decision. You took action. I congratulate you for that. That got you out of that pile. One of our coaches, her name was Gabby. She came and I was talking about transforming a nation. She came up to me and she handed me her passport. And she said, I would like you to write the word transformation on my passport. I'd never done that before. I wasn't even sure it was legal. But I did it. One of my mottos is, I know the rules. What are the fines? I know how to get out of the people pile. And I wrote transformation, and then she said, she had one of my books. She said, I'd like you to sign that she's from Paraguay. She said, I'd like you to sign that for the president of Paraguay. So I signed it for the president of Paraguay. And I handed it to her. I said, well, you must know the president of Paraguay. And is he a good friend? She said, I've never met him. I said, well, wait a minute. You never met him and you want me to sign a book to him? She said, I know, but she said, I'm going to go home and meet him. I'm going to go home and meet him. I said, what do you mean you're going to go home and meet him? She said, we need to have our country transformed. And I need to see I got to go meet the president. And she went home to her husband, Tim, and she said, we got to go meet the president. He said, we're just people. We're just people. We don't know the president. He said, well, we're going to figure it out. This lady not only figured it out, met the president, had him write us a letter. We went to Paraguay. I met the president. He said he wanted transformation. And in that country today, over 10% of the population are in values round tables today. And every kid in a public school is getting the values training. Gabby! What did Gabby do? Gabby got out of the people pile. Would you sign a book for the president? Be glad to. Do you know him? No, I don't know him. I'm going to meet him. That is people pile mindset. The third thing you need to ask yourself is very simple. What can separate me from others? What is it that I do that's so unique that it gives me an edge that allows me to get out of the people pile? One of the companies I started was a stewardship company to help nonprofits raise money for their dreams. And it's a tough business to get started in because you're raising money. And so the ones that are in that business have a big lead over you. In fact, there were companies that had helped over 3,000 nonprofits raise money. And so we started, and when we go to the nonprofit board and say, we'd like to help you raise money for your dream, they'd say, how many have you done? And well, we haven't done any of them yet, but you could be the first. And they said, no, we want to go with the company that's done 3,000. They've got experience. And I kept saying, I got to get out of the people pile. They're smothering me. They're keeping me down. And all of a sudden it hit me. Then I went to that nonprofit board after about 8 months of trying how to get out of the people pile. And I said, let me tell you what's unique about us. We're so young and we're so small. We can tailor make the pitch for money for your company. And if you'll just tell us all we'll learn about you and we'll let you help us. We'll tailor make a program that'll be just yours and only yours. You can put your name on it. And we just started signing contracts. 5 years later, we had the largest stewardship company in the world, raising $3 billion a year, and the largest company in America. 8 years later, they came to me and wanted me to buy them out. Listen to me. You can get out of the people pile. But you can't get out of the people pile if you think like the people in the people pile. The reason they're in the people pile is because they think like people in the people pile. And if you think like people in the people pile, you're going to be one of those people that will stay in the people pile, and you'll never get out of the people pile, because in the people pile, they just think average, and you can't think average. You got to think different. What separates us? John Wooden was a great mentor of mine. The man was the greatest basketball coach ever in college. He had 10 national championships. He won 7 in a row. In the Final Four, his record was 20 and 20 wins and 2 losses. In the finals, when his team got to the finals, they won every time they were in the finals of the NCAA tournament. And Coach, just for 14 years, I had this relationship with him. And one day we were talking, I said, Coach, what got you out of the coach's pile? What got you out of the coach's pile? And he looked at me, smiled, and he said, speed. I said, tell me about it. He said, you have 5 players. They have 5 players. He said, I recruit the quickest, fastest players to be on my team. I don't go for height, I go for speed. Because the ball is going to be loose on the floor 16 times in a game. And if I have the fastest players if I have 3 of the players on that floor if I have the majority of my players are faster than their players, he said if 16 times the ball is loose on the floor, he said we'll get the ball at least 10 or 11 times. And that gives us 3 ball possessions more than the other team. And he said that's what usually wins the game. You see, he understood what he needed to go for. He needed to go for speed to get out of the people pile. What I'm doing now is I'm helping you in asking these questions to get a mindset and a thought. What separates me? What keeps me from being like all the other people? Because that's what I got to ask. I got to ask myself that on a constant. When I started doing speaking, I was with people like Zig Ziglar, Paul Harvey. I'm a 28, 30-year-old kid, and all of them are old enough to be my father, grandfather. And they were motivational speakers, and they were terrific speakers and standing ovations, and I loved every moment, and they were so good to me. They just kind of took me under the wings because I was the kid on the block. But after being with them for about 18 months, I realized that basically it was the same talk every time, and it was fun. But I said, I think I got to get out of the people pot. I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a motivational teacher. You see, a motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you don't know why. You just say, I feel good. A motivational teacher makes you feel good, but the next day you know why, because they give you resources and tools and practice. I pull myself out of the people pile. Those are the three questions you got to ask yourself. You got to look constantly to ask yourself, what are my strengths? What am I passionate about? And what can separate me from others? Now let's go to the letter, or to the word be. You've got to be intentional. You don't get out of the people pile by accident. Stephen Covey said you have to begin with the end in mind. Let me tell you something. Never lose the end. Never lose what that target is way out there. If you begin with the end in mind, you can never get distracted. Whatever that was that helped you to begin with the end in mind, you gotta never lose that end. Which means you're going to adjust, you're going to change, you're going to adapt, you're going to ask questions, you're going to be distracted, but never lose the end. In 1976, when I really felt called to train leaders and teach leaders, I mean, think about it. All of these years now, 50 years I've been training leaders. I've never lost the end. Every day I still want to add value to leaders who multiply value to others. I've never lost the reason I do what I do. I know I'm on this stage today. It's leadership. And what happens is if you keep the end in mind and you never lose that focus of why you're there, that purpose, that end, if that picture is still clear, what happens is then you continually build toward that target, and you continually improve yourself, and consistency begins to compound. And now at 77, the returns are huge. But why are the returns huge? Because I've never lost why I started. When people tell me, they say, well, I think I'm going to quit, first thing I ask them is, why did you start? Talk to me about why you started. Let's get clear on why you started and what you see, because here's what I know. What you focus on expands. So if you begin with the end of the mind, the more you focus on it, the more it gets big. And in the people pile, there are people that are filled with good intentions. But when you're intentional, it's good actions. And you want to go from good intentions to good actions. In fact, I wrote a book called Intentional Living, and I wrote it because I want to help people go from good actions, which are from good thinking and assumptions. I wanted to get them into actions, because I know there's no success without action. The second B I want you to know about is be flexible. Be flexible. In fact, flexibility is the superpower of leadership today, because you've got to be agile. Speed is fast now, and everything's going. You got to constantly be ready to pivot and to move in and out. That's why I wrote the book Leadership. And when I talk about people being intentional, which is begin with the end of the mind, and then I say be flexible, let me tell you the difference. When you're intentional, you know what you want to accomplish. And when you're flexible, you know there's more than one way to accomplish it. And so if you get out of the people, sometimes people get in that pile and they don't get out because they're not flexible. They don't adjust. They're not adaptable enough. And that makes a huge difference. Intentional living means that I'm constantly working with the end in mind. But flexibility means that I realize there's more than one way. There's another answer. And if that didn't work, it's okay. I'll do a little U-turn and I'll go over here and I'll try, because there's always an answer. There's always more than one answer, and there's always a better answer. And people that are flexible in their mind, they do that really well. The next B is be in the moment. Be in the moment. They've just done some research on this. The average person spends 47%. The average person, when they are with you, when they're with you in a conversation, the average person spends 47% of their time, almost half their time. The average person, while they're with you, is thinking about what they're going to do next. Now, I'm here to tell you that isn't the way to get out of the people power. You have to be in the moment. I'm a moment maker. I understand how to do this. I'm going to meet the moment, so I'm filled with anticipation. In other words, when I got up this morning, I thought, I will meet moments today that are really going to make a difference. I'm anticipating the moment. It's going to happen. So that causes me to look for the moment. And when I anticipate the moment, I see the moment, because we see what we're looking for. We don't see what is, we see what we're looking for. So I know I'm going to meet the moment. And what I know is when I meet the moment, I'm going to make the moment. Now what happens, I'm going to maximize it, because I'm going to take the moment, because I'm in the moment, and I'm going to make it much better. Now listen to me carefully. The moment doesn't get better by itself. You have to create the moment. Once you get the moment, that's when you begin to maximize it. And the difference is this. If I'm saying, I'll wait till the moment comes to me, I'm passive. But if I say, no, I'm going to look for the moment, and I'm going to make that moment, and then I become active. If I talk about meeting the moment, I'm hoping to find it. But if I'm going to make the moment, I'm looking to find it. It's totally different. And you just don't want to miss it. And when you, and here, this is so good. When you are in the moment, do everything in your power to include others in it. Don't live the moment for yourself. Live the moment for others. So when I'm catching the wave, okay? And I'm sensing the wave, I immediately grab people and say, oh, you want to be a part of this. You want to be a part of this. You seize the moment, and then you spread it. You spread it to others. And you let them be a part of the moment. I love doing things. I love living what I would call a get out of the people power, unforgettable life. And what people miss is they think that to be unforgettable, it's got to be expensive, or they've got to be brilliant. And let me just say something to you. If you realized how close you were to making the moment and maximizing the moment, and excelling and creating an unforgettable experience in people's lives. If you realized how close you were and how easy it was, every one of you would walk out of here with the ability to take moments and maximize them, not only for yourself, but for others. And so when I'm with people and maybe we're in an experience together, and I'll have a dozen with it. I was coming back from South America last year, and I had about a dozen people with me, and we were just on the plane, and we just had an incredible experience in transformation of the country. And so we're flying home. In fact, we dropped down in Brazil to do some education stuff with them, and they're going to put our values curriculum in their schools, and it's just amazing what's happening. So now we're kind of on our home stretch, and I looked at the 12 on the plane with me. I said, let me explain something to you. We're going to do something that's never been done before. And looked up and said, what do you mean? I said, we're going to do something that's never been done before. What we're about to do in this plane has never been done before. And we're going to do it, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to let's get the cameras out. Let's record this. And they said, what are we going? I said, everybody stand up. They all stood up. And I said, we're going to do the hokey pokey. Yeah, we're going to do the hokey pokey. Now I've got major business guys on this trip, and they're looking at me and they're saying, we're going to do what? I said, we're going to do the hokey pokey. No, nobody has ever done the hokey pokey flying home from Brazil in a plane. We're going to do the hokey pokey, and I got them all up. And we did the hokey pokey. I wish you could have seen these business guys talking and doing in fact, let me explain how this works. Let's all stand up. Come on, let's all stand up. Come on, put it aside. Hey. I know how to make a moment. I know how to do this. Come on, folks. Let's get excited. Are you ready? Huh? Come on now. Huh? Are you ready? Here we go. Ho! Come on. Are you ready? All you got to do is watch me. Hey, look at the person sitting beside you and tell them, get with it, buddy. Get with it. Get with it. Come on, get with it. Okay. Are you ready, huh? Here we go. You put your right foot in. You put your right foot out. You put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Hey, you put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, you put your left foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Give yourself a hand. Come on. Whoa.
The best investment you can make as a leader is in yourself and your team. Join Maxwell Leadership for Day to Grow, a full-day conference in Orlando, Florida, featuring some of today's most sought-after experts and thought leaders.
I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a motivational teacher. You see, a motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you don't know why. A motivational teacher makes you feel good, but the next day you know why, because they give you resources and tools and practice.
If you're passionate about personal growth, development, your team, and growing them, you do not want to miss Day to Grow.
Malcolm Gladwell has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Since becoming a staff writer for The New Yorker in 1996, he has written 7 New York Times bestsellers, and in 2011, he was appointed to Canada's second highest Order of Honor. 4-time Olympian Shantae Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story of triumphing over adversity on platforms like ESPN and the Oprah Winfrey Network. Chris Robinson is an international speaker and executive coach who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide.
The masses lead lives of quiet desperation, but they go to the grave with their song inside. It is my vision that not a single person that can hear my voice goes to the grave with that song inside.
John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter. His clients include Dell, Publix, Southwest Airlines, and several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose.
So it started out, people would ask weird questions. Michael Jr., what should I do here? What should I do there? And I realized we're asking the wrong question. Because they're asking what, but the question they really should be asking is why. Because when you understand your why, you have more options for what, but your why never changes.
International speaker Valerie Burton is the founder of the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute, as well as a best-selling author of 13 books coaching women and ambitious individuals toward their best lives.
If we want to be resilient, we need to be as supportive of ourselves as we are of the people we care about. You see, we are often far more kind to our friends and to our family members than we are to ourselves.
Serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson serves as CEO and managing partner of Grant Cardone's business consulting firm Cardone Ventures. He has spent the last 30 years in the business space, starting, scaling, and selling businesses, and now helps organizations of all sizes reach their goals.
Come and see us on Day to Grow. I will promise you this. You come and bring your team, and at the end of the day, you'll come up and shake my hand and say, one of the best days I've ever invested in for myself and for my team. I'll see you there.
Anywhere John Maxwell is where I want to be in my life. I think we all have that in common. So I am so grateful to be here today. And I see Worthy, hello. Thank you so much. So in our time together, I'm actually going to talk about a few things I've never talked about before. And we're going to go deep and we're going to go granular. We're going to go granular in our time together because we're going to make it count. And I'm so honored and grateful. And I know so many of you here in the room are here to grow. I know so many of you are officially coaches. Make some noise and raise your hand if you're certified. Yeah. Congratulations, congratulations. This is such a powerful room. And when I think about the impact, right? Think about the collective impact of every single person in this room, right? And we're all growing together and we're all gonna leave this room, and the collective ripple effect that all of us have the ability to have when we show up and fully serve. And what I will say is I believe, and maybe you might have this in common with me, for a lot of my life, I had a lot of ambition, and I had goals, and I had dreams, and I could do things that looked really great on the outside, but deep down inside, I actually didn't believe I was enough. I doubted myself out of rooms. I doubted myself out of walking up to someone at an event. I doubted myself out of many moments in my destiny. And I'm gonna go deep on this today. Because all y'all are here to grow, which means you are in the rare group of the rare group of the rare group in this world that's here, destined, or you wouldn't be here, to be the fullest, highest expression of yourself, destined to step out of this room and walk into your calling and serve and impact, right? And I believe the single greatest thing that can inhibit that is when deep down inside, you may not believe that you're worthy of it. That's really the single greatest thing. So we're gonna go deep into this today. And these next few minutes together are for any person in this room who has some self-doubt to destroy and a destiny to fulfill. So maybe just make some noise if you have some self-doubt to destroy and a destiny to fulfill. Yeah? I'm so proud of you for sharing it, because so often when we feel it, we hide it, and we think we're alone in it. So I just want to, right off the top of our few minutes, can you just take a moment and write down in your notes, whether it's on paper, in your phone, on the back of your hand, wherever you want to write, 1 or 2 goals or dreams you have for your life, that you still have for your life. 1 or 2 goals or dreams that you have for your life. And maybe they're for what you feel like is your calling to serve. Maybe they're for your future as a coach. Maybe they're in relationships or friendships, or in your hopes or your dreams or your art or your talent or your hobbies. 1 or 2 goals or dreams you have for your life. Just jot those down. And here's what I want to say. And I'm going to ask this question, and then we're going to come back to this question. If there was one thing that was going to prevent those from happening, what do you think that one thing would be? And maybe just take a minute and jot that down as well. If there was one thing. Here's what I know to be true. There is a huge reason why, for a lot of us, some of the things that we feel called to do, that we know we're here to do, that we just can't shake from our being, that we know we're supposed to do in this life. Some of us feel God put us here to do it, right? But what I know is, step 1 is just having clarity over what is it. And there are very few people on this planet that have clarity over what it is they want, their goals and their dreams. What is it that they want? That's step 1. And if you just wrote down, or you know in your head, a couple of your goals or dreams, maybe just one that you want to do in this lifetime, you're already in the rare group of people who has clarity. But guess what? That's almost never enough for it to actually happen. The next part is you've got to know why you want to do it. What is your deep reason, right? We hear so many thought leaders do such a beautiful job talking about your why or your mission or your reason for doing what you're doing. There's a lot of people that have fitness goals or health goals, but they don't actually take the time to identify the why for them. And so when they get too hard, they quit. Or a lot of people have businesses or ideas or dreams, or they want to be an author, but they haven't written out why is it, the why beneath the why of why I've got to do this. Because you lean on that why when times get tough. You lean on that why when people are telling you no, or they don't believe in you, or it's never going to work. So step one is clarity. It's what I want. And step two is why I want it, right? And when you have that, now you are in the rare group of people that actually have a shot at making these things happen. But even that usually isn't enough. Step three is you got to take action, right? Maya Angelou says nothing will work unless you do, right? You got to take action. You got to go for it. You got to get back up every time you get knocked down. You've got to show up. You've got to put yourself out there. You've also got to take action. I believe, right, there's so many really great famous sayings, but one of the things I always try to do is that famous saying attributed to St. Augustine and a few other saints, and no one can fully identify who said it, but it's pray as if it's all up to God, work as if it's all up to you. I believe knowing what you want, knowing why you want it, and then step three, taking action. If you are in step three, you're in one of the very few people that may actually be able to see your dreams come to pass that you have. But it's almost always still not enough. There's step four, which is you actually have to believe it's possible for you. And very few people do that. You have to believe it's possible for you. And even if you're there, because so many of us have limiting beliefs where we say, well, I don't come from the right place, or I'm not qualified, or I don't have what it takes, or I'm not this enough, or I'm not that enough. We have to believe it's possible for us. And even then, it's almost always not enough. There is the fifth piece that I believe is the game changer. And that is that you have to believe you are worthy of it. You have to believe you are worthy of it, because in life, so often we don't soar to the level of our goals and dreams. We stay stuck at the level of our self-worth. Like our self-worth becomes our ceiling. And for the sake of time, I'm going to get really, really granular, because I shared in that video with Ed Milet, we had a whole conversation about how, you don't become what you want, you become what you believe you're worthy of. Like our self-worth is our ceiling, right? You don't rise to what you believe is possible. We fall to what we believe we're worthy of. And this is in friendships, in relationships, in our hopes and our dreams, in our business potential, in how we're willing to step into our calling. I believe you cannot out-succeed your self-worth. And here's what I want to break down, a couple things in our time together, because this one thing completely changed my life. I did not know why I was accomplishing a lot of things, but still never feeling enough. And in the accomplishment of those things, I still wasn't fulfilled, right? And I learned so many lessons the hard way after believing my whole life if I just achieved enough, then I'd finally feel enough. And that is a lie. That is a lie. So I want to quickly break down something that's really, really huge that might speak to someone's soul in this room today, and it might completely shift how you spend your time and your focus as you go after the dream that you identified as we kicked off this talk. I've never done a talk like this, but I'm just going to go deep because John is like my family, you are his family, so we're all family, so I'm just going to share all this stuff today. Okay, so here's the deal. If somebody said to me, oh, self-confidence and self-worth are different, I'd be like, that's great. Who cares? Like, okay, I was like, oh, I always thought they were the same, but whatever. Until I learned this the hard way, that understanding the difference, whether you are a man, a woman, does not matter, understanding the difference can change your entire life. Can change your entire life. And because so many of the things that we put our time and our effort and our attention and our hopes in actually only build self-confidence, which is really important and valuable. But they don't build self-worth, which is different. And so many of us believe what we need more of is self-confidence, when what we actually need more of to accomplish our goals and dreams is self-worth. And here's the deal. So self-confidence, while it's an internal trait, it's so much based on the external. It's how we assess our own skills and abilities, our willingness to try and go for it, how we feel we stack up and compare and measure to others, how much of the world's definition of success we believe we have. Studies show that the boxer who wins the match is automatically 30% more confident. So our confidence is fragile, and it fluctuates, and it's volatile. It's super, super volatile. Our self-worth is different. Our self-worth is the deep internal knowing and belief that you are worthy of love and belonging exactly as you are. Not as you achieve, not as your past mistakes or failures or regrets, but exactly as you are in God's image, exactly as who you were created to be. And here's the thing. If you have ever thought, one day when I accomplish that thing, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to be fulfilled. Then I'm going to finally feel enough. And for some of us, that thing maybe is like a certain job title or a certain number in the bank account or getting married and having kids and a white picket fence or our dream car or our fitness goals, our weight loss goals, our six-pack abs. And whatever it might be for you, we think like when that finally happens, oh my gosh, then I'm going to be happy. And so what a lot of us do is we work so hard, and we finally get the thing, right? Sometimes it takes us decades. I see a lot of you nodding. Sometimes it takes decades, and we get the thing, and then we're happy for a minute, and before we know it, we're like, why do I feel like something's missing? Why do I feel like it's not enough? Why do I feel like I'm not enough? And it's because in the pursuit of those things, we're growing, which is so important. Growing is one of the greatest keys to fulfillment in life. In the pursuit of those things, we're often contributing to others and something greater than ourselves. So important to fulfillment. In the pursuit of those things, we're building confidence. So important. Those three things are valuable. But none of those things build self-worth, which is different. And when your self-worth is your ceiling, you cannot out-succeed it. You can accomplish a whole bunch of stuff, but arrive at it still feeling empty, still feeling like it's not enough, if you do not believe you are enough. And this is the thing. And a lot of people, and I know most of you in this room are high achievers. You're high achievers. A lot of you have big ambitions. And we often will tell ourselves a lie. Well, wait a minute. If I feel like I'm enough as who I am, I'm going to lose my edge. What if I lose my ambition? It's like, oh, no, it's actually the opposite. The greater you raise your ceiling of self-worth, the more ambitious you become. The more ambitious you become because you know, oh, I might go for it and fail and fall flat on my face, and that might shake my confidence, but that cannot touch my self-worth. And the greater we raise our self-worth, right, the more we're actually able to enjoy and feel fulfilled in the pursuit of the things that we are going after. So I'm going to read a quick description between the two, and then I'm going to tell you how this can impact so many areas of your life. So many areas of your life. Because you may be a coach ready to crush it. But at the end of the day, you might be crushing it by the world's definition on the outside. But if we don't feel we're enough on the inside, here's how it shows up, okay? if you're like me, and this is only a few years ago where I really became obsessed with self-worth and understanding the difference between self-worth and self-confidence, and I was sabotaging things in my life that I did not believe I was worthy of, even though it looked like I was crushing it on the outside. And I was accomplishing these big things and everyone was cheering, but I was arriving at them still feeling like, why don't I feel fulfilled or like I'm enough? And so self-worth shows up in 3 areas in our life. So if you identify with any of these, if you're someone that, and again, you guys, you could be crushing it on the outside, but if you deal with low self-worth, and this was me most of my entire life, and this affects your business, by the way. Don't even get me started, but you want to double your success, you double your self-worth. You want to double your net worth, you double your self-worth. Because again, don't even get me started. This is the thing. Like, I can talk business tactics all day long, but guess what? This is the thing for business and for growth and for success, because your self-worth becomes your ceiling. And if you have low self-worth, what that often looks like is you're stuck and you don't know why. You're stuck and you don't know why. You might have this idea for a book, but you don't know why you haven't written it. Or you might want a potential partner or friend, and you're like, I don't know why I'm not getting on the dating app or going out and meeting people. And we tell ourselves, oh, I just need to get more skills and build my skill set, and that might be true. But usually, the real reason we're stuck, almost always, is deep down inside, we actually don't believe we're worthy of the thing. So we stay stuck because our self-worth is our ceiling. If you have low to medium self-worth, and this was me most of my life, what that looks like is you'll go for the thing, you'll go for it, but you'll either hit a ceiling, and you'll be like, well, I really want a 6-figure business. I keep hitting a ceiling at 5 figures, or you'll go for the thing and you'll sabotage it. You'll write I see a lot of you nodding to this one. You'll write the whole book, but then you're like, I don't know why I haven't sent it out to all the publishers. Or you'll put yourself out there and you'll meet a potential partner. And you're like, why am I not attracted to them? I'm going to put them in the friend zone. And we don't know why we sabotage stuff. But we will sabotage stuff when deep down inside we don't believe we're worthy of it. And then the third way this shows up, medium to high self-worth, but not quite high, is we'll go for it, we'll accomplish it, the whole world will cheer, and we'll still inside feel unfulfilled, like it's not enough, like we're not enough. And then we just keep that cycle. We'll go, I gotta solve it by more and achieving more and hitting the next level and hitting the next level. And it becomes this never-ending cycle to not being fulfilled. And the beautiful thing is, I am more ambitious than I've ever been in my life. And for the first time ever, I'm enjoying it. I'm feeling fulfilled. Because I've put in so much work to actually believe I'm enough, which what I know has nothing to do with pursuits on the outside. And it's so important. So just to break it down really quick, this is from Worthy, which John Maxwell has here, but this book now is 2 weeks old, and it's sold out everywhere, which is wild. That has never happened in my life. So you guys have been spreading the word about it, like all the Targets and Barnes & Nobles are sold out. It's a whole thing, and it's going to be a month until they get stock in. So it's crazy. So anyhow, okay, self-confidence is what you show on the outside. Self-worth is what you feel on the inside. Self-confidence is based on mastery. Self-worth is based on identity. Self-confidence is what you can do. Self-worth is who you are. Self-confidence is believing you're skilled enough. Self-worth is believing you are enough. Self-confidence fluctuates based on your environment. Self-worth is stable through every environment. Self-confidence is fragile. Self-worth is foundational. Self-confidence is the belief in your abilities as a person. Self-worth is a belief in your value as a person. Self-confidence is I'm striving to earn love. Self-worth is knowing I am love. Self-confidence gives you drive. Self-worth gives you peace. Self-confidence is optional. Self-worth is essential. Self-confidence eventually surrenders. Self-worth ultimately prevails. Self-worth is your foundation. Self-confidence is the house You build on top of it with the rooms and the art and all the things you want to pursue in your life, but your house will only ever be as secure as the foundation it's built upon.
The best investment you can make as a leader is in yourself and your team. Join Maxwell Leadership for Day to Grow, a full-day conference in Orlando, Florida, featuring some of today's most sought-after experts and thought leaders.
I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a motivational teacher. You see, a motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you don't know why. A motivational teacher makes you feel good, but the next day you know why, because they give you resources and tools and practice.
If you're passionate about personal growth, development, your team, and growing them, you do not want to miss Day to Grow.
Malcolm Gladwell has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Since becoming a staff writer for The New Yorker in 1996, he has written 7 New York Times bestsellers, and in 2011, he was appointed to Canada's second highest Order of Honor. 4-time Olympian Shantae Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story of triumphing over adversity on platforms like ESPN and the Oprah Winfrey Network. Chris Robinson is an international speaker and executive coach who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide.
The masses lead lives of quiet desperation, but they go to the grave with their song inside. It is my vision that not a single person that can hear my voice goes to the grave with that song inside.
John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter. His clients include Dell, Publix, Southwest Airlines, and several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose.
So it started out, people would ask weird questions. Michael Jr., what should I do here? What should I do there? And I realized we're asking the wrong question, because they're asking what, but the question they really should be asking is why, because when you understand your why, you have more options for what, but your why never changes.
International speaker Valerie Burton is the founder of the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute, as well as a best-selling author of 13 books coaching women and ambitious individuals toward their best lives.
If we want to be resilient, we need to be as supportive of ourselves as we are of the people we care about. You see, we are often far more kind to our friends and to our family members than we are to ourselves.
Serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson serves as CEO and managing partner of Grant Cardone's business consulting firm Cardone Ventures. He has spent the last 30 years in the business space, starting, scaling, and selling businesses, and now helps organizations of all sizes reach their goals.
Come and see us on Day to Grow. I will promise you this. You come and bring your team, and at the end of the day, you'll come up and shake my hand and say, one of the best days I've ever invested in for myself and for my team. I'll see you there.
How you guys doing? Cool. Thanks for the 18 of you who are fans right here in the front. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Hey, I hope you guys are well. Hey, how good was Jamie back there? How good was Jamie? I was just talking with her backstage, and I said, I asked my daughter, Mia, I bought Mia the book. Me and Mia, my 14-year-old, are reading it together. And the reason why is I asked her a question. Where's my dad's in the house? Yeah. I asked my daughter a question I'd never asked her. I said, babe, how often do you not feel worthy? And she said, a lot, Dad. And it caught me off guard because I thought maybe it happens sometimes, but she said it happens a lot. And so guess what? It's Dad's responsibility to help her overcome that. It's Dad's responsibility. And Mom's playing a role too, but Dad has to help her see who she is. And that sets me up for today. I want to talk to you a little bit about becoming an overcomer and going and leading your world to literally overcome. I have a responsibility in my daughter's life right now to help her overcome the feeling of not being worthy. And so guess what? That means I tap into myself and find those times where I didn't feel worthy and get to bring those life lessons to my daughter. Today, I believe I'm going to speak around the most important, if not one of the most important skill sets that every leader needs to help themselves, help their family, help their companies, help their customers, help their employees, help their middle management, help their C-suite. We're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about it in a way that I hope and I pray really transforms you today to be able to go back into your homes and go back into your organizations to make a big difference. And so here's what I want you to know. Humankind wants to succeed and overcome in 3 areas. Everything falls within these 3 areas. It's health, it's wealth, and their professional careers, and it's relationships. Everybody wants to overcome in one or all of those areas. Those are like the parent categories. And underneath those are thousands and thousands of subcategories. And I believe the power you have with your words to help people overcome, but not just any words. I believe the power that you have to overcome will completely change the game. The first person that ever did that for me was John Maxwell in my professional career. First person that ever did that for me was John Maxwell. Yeah, you can clap for John Maxwell. This is his event. Do y'all believe this guy has helped a lot of people overcome? I want him to hear you. Has John Maxwell helped a lot of people overcome? Deion Sanders said backstage to me, hey, by the way, we have about 15,000 people that are watching online that registered for the virtual. Can y'all give it up for our virtual attendees in the room? Deion Sanders said something backstage 25 years ago, and he used the word like suicidal. And he said the person he called was John Maxwell. Why? Because he knew John could help him overcome. He said when John was about to get to his house, he was telling all his family, he's like, ooh, I don't need this family member in here because John's coming. Get out of the house. He gave him $100 bills to go get some food. He wanted the right people in the house. And he said they came in and he talked and he just freaking bragged on John Maxwell backstage because John Maxwell is one of the greatest men in the world to helping people overcome. Helping people overcome. And in my professional career, he was the first one to help me overcome. And so, what do these people have in common? Yeah, you know them all because they're on the stage. But it's the same thing that these people have in common, and you don't know any of them, is that they are great communicators. Remember, folks want to overcome in these 3 areas. And you have the past to help them overcome in the present from your words. And it's part of your story. So before I just show you this framework, I love this quote, and I'd take a picture of this or I'd remember it, but people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. She's one of my heroes. Here's the thing. There's a reason why this framework I'm about to show you is called the Story Braid Framework. It's because I read that quote and I've seen the greatest communicators walk out that quote. And that's why we created this Story Braid Framework. So I just want to go over this for a few moments. This is how you overcome. This is how you help other people overcome. This is what I'm paying attention today. This is what John Maxwell did today. This is what Dion did today, and they do it so differently. John's just up here on the table. I'm John, and I'm your friend. And then Dion's like, let's go, I'm not your friend. But both of them do the same thing. They connect with your heart. I want you to imagine in any boardroom, any meeting, any customer engagement, any donor, anything that anytime you communicate with a person, I want you to remember that there is an imaginary wall up in front of you and them. One-to-one, one-to-many, online or offline, there is an imaginary wall. And their minds aren't going to hear anything you say until their hearts connect with you. Their minds aren't going to hear any of the instructions. They might kind of hear it, but they won't hear it and grab it and do anything with it until you connect with their heart. The number one way when you're communicating in a few minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, one-on-one, one-to-many, in a boardroom, the number one way to connect with somebody's heart, number one way, I've seen tens of thousands of presentations. You realize when I watch a presentation, I don't watch the speaker? Here's a big piece of advice for you. My buddy Dan Martell, a great speaker, don't go back and watch the tape of you speaking only. Actually watch the audience. They tell you everything you need to know about when your speech resonates and when it doesn't. We taught that one thing to Damon John, and it blew his mind away. And I'm telling you, over 20 years of watching presentations, here's the number one thing. People want to know that you know where they're at, that you understand what it's like to walk in their shoes. But they also want to know that you are committed to taking them to a place where they desire to go. You want to connect with somebody's heart and break that imaginary wall? Let them know you know where they're at. Boardroom, donors, customers, whatever you're trying to do. Kids. But you help them understand that we're going to go to a place where you and I both desire to go. By the way, not where I want to go, where we want to go. Where we want to go. You want to be a great communicator? That's where it starts. The second thing that I want to tell you is then, and only then, is their minds open to listening. The only reason that the heart matters is because it lowers the imaginary wall. It lowers the imaginary wall. There is study and data and even historic stuff on the educational system that when we focused on the heart of the kids, academic achievement in the U.S. was at an all-time high. But when we started to focus on the mind of the kids, academic achievement went down. I hope you heard that. Stop trying to speak to people's minds and start with their hearts. The textbooks used to read, Dan had 12 marbles. He dropped all of them. His friend Pete picked up 5 of them for him. How many did Dan have to pick up? You laugh at that, but we're teaching to the heart back in the old textbooks. Now it's like, no, guys, I need you to know this trigonometry. My kids come home, I'm like, dude, I have no idea, guys. But it's the same when you communicate. Start with the heart, and their minds will open up. Anytime I tell my son, dude, flip and take the trash out, I'm speaking to his head. But when I start saying, Bubs, I want you to know every time you take the trash out and when there's this consistent run, mom always is wowed. And when your mama's wowed, good things happen for you. You laugh at that, but I hope you can see the subtle difference. But you're doing that in the boardroom. You're doing that with your team. And listen, I'm a guy who's very impatient, so I have to do this in short spurts because I can get impatient. But the second part is once you have their hearts opened, show them how to close the gap. Somebody got that. Show them how to close the gap. It could be one thing, it could be two things, it could be three things, but it's not a bunch of things. Show them how to close the gap. Teach them, train them, coach them, lead them on closing that gap. And then these last two parts are critical. What I started to see is people who were very left-brained, analytical thinkers not connect with some people's close of their talks. But then I started to see my right brain, creative thinkers, not close with the end of people's talks. So we said it's important to make sure that we can appeal to both. How many of you in here would say I'm an analytical thinker by show of hands? Show of hands. Up, look at the hands around you. I want you to pay attention to this. How many of you would say you're creative right brain thinkers? Hands up. How many didn't raise their hand at all? Yeah, thank you. The numbers say 70 to 30. It's usually about 70% to 30%, which this room demonstrated. You usually close with a call to action that only speaks to you and the way you think about things. And we want it to speak to anybody. Or you take the one out because you know who you're speaking to. If you're one-to-one, know which way they lean. Know if they're your accountant or your marketing creative. If you're speaking to a bunch of people, then you need to insert both of these. The first one is the hands. This is the tactical call to action. This is for the tactical people. Show them the spreadsheet. Get them a quick win. Help them understand the numbers. Show them how to go win right now, today. Don't give me this dang fluffy stuff. Tell me what to do right now. Get them a quick win. That's the tactical call to action. And guys, this is not just a framework for one-to-many. This is a framework one-to-one. That's what the tactical call to action person wants to know. But the right brain person wants to know, man, close with the heart. I'll tell you who is unbelievably one of the best that closes with the heart is John Maxwell. Every time I leave his presence, I feel on cloud 9. I feel amazing. And your right brain people need to know that. Your creatives need to know that. They need to know that they need to be reinforced with their heart. Because they lead with their heart a lot of the times. I'm telling you, every great communicator does this in their own style and in their own way. I'm encouraging you to make this yours because I love what Warren Buffett said. And I'm 3 minutes away from being done here. Oh, thank you. Someone said take your time. That's good. They don't like that in the back, though. Warren Buffett, you guys might not know this story. He invested money into getting training on being a great communicator. And he was so nervous because he is introverted. Where's my introverts in this room? I knew you three were right here. 1, 2, 3. He was so introverted that he decided not to take the course. But then he realized the importance of actually going through this process, and he took it. I wished I could say that he took my course. That would be really cool, Warren Buffett. But he took it. And that quote you see on the screen comes from him. You want to run into me right here? Let's run, like Crossroads right here.
You changed my mind.
Oh, thank you. That quote comes from him and his team investing in communication skills right there.
The best investment you can make as a leader is in yourself and your team. Join Maxwell Leadership for Day to Grow, a full-day conference in Orlando, Florida, featuring some of today's most sought-after experts and thought leaders.
I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a motivational teacher. You see, a motivational speaker makes you feel good, but the next day you don't know why. A motivational teacher makes you feel good, but the next day you know why, because they give you resources and tools and practice.
If you're passionate about personal growth, development, your team, and growing them, you do not want to miss Day to Grow.
Malcolm Gladwell has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Since becoming a staff writer for The New Yorker in 1996, he has written 7 New York Times bestsellers, and in 2011, he was appointed to Canada's second highest Order of Honor. 4-time Olympian Shantae Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story of triumphing over adversity on platforms like ESPN and the Oprah Winfrey Network. Chris Robinson is an international speaker and executive coach who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide.
The masses lead lives of quiet desperation, but they go to the grave with their song inside. It is my vision that not a single person that can hear my voice goes to the grave with that song inside.
John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter. His clients include Dell, Publix, Southwest Airlines, and several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose.
So it started out, people would ask weird questions. Michael Jr., what should I do here? What should I do there? And I realized we're asking the wrong question, because they were asking what, but the question they really should be asking is why, because when you understand your why, you have more options for what, but your why never changes.
International speaker Valerie Burton is the founder of the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute, as well as a best-selling author of 13 books coaching women and ambitious individuals toward their best lives.
If we want to be resilient, we need to be as supportive of ourselves as we are of the people we care about. You see, we are often far more kind to our friends and to our family members than we are to ourselves.
Serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson serves as CEO and managing partner of Grant Cardone's business consulting firm Cardone Ventures. He has spent the last 30 years in the business space, starting, scaling, and selling businesses, and now helps organizations of all sizes reach their goals.
Come and see us on Day to Grow. I will promise you this. You come and bring your team, and at the end of the day, you'll come up and shake my hand and say, one of the best days I've ever invested in for myself and for my team. I'll see you there.